I welcome TJ. Welcome to our summit today. Nice to have you. I know you've traveled all the way from Bloem to be here today, so welcome. And why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about your fund and what you are actually offering them?
Okay, good. Thanks, Jeff, for having us. Yes, my name is Taurai Jack, and I know that Jeff struggles with my name, bless your soul, but we're here today. Okay, so we are in the student accommodation space, and that's where we are. We are in 5 cities, and we've been doing student accommodation for a while. Is the presentation on? Should we go ahead? Okay, great. All right, so I think for a lot of you, you might not know who I am, but you know, I am one of those people that grew up in a space where I was disadvantaged, and with that, I grew up into starting off into a business, and within this business here, it is all about student accommodation. But the reason why I went into student accommodation is because I realized that in student accommodation, there are people who are in there in today's time who are actually also disadvantaged today. And if we look at it in terms of what is happening, these people here that you're seeing on these pictures here are true people who are living within our properties. This picture was taken in a few days ago. And as a business, we are having around about 300 students across the country. And for some people, you might be thinking that, you know, student accommodation doesn't exist because all of us, we've gone online. But the reality is that that's not true. If I look at the people that are staying in some of our places, the reality is that these kids' parents are probably people working at Checkers, at Pick and Pay, where our mass people are working in. But the reality of it is that COVID is there. Within our universities, where we have residents normally taking in 2 students at a time. At the moment, it's actually 1 student at a time. So which has also put pressure on the residents of their actual universities. In terms of online, it's not a reality for a lot of these kids that are coming through from areas like Butterworth, Koffenbaba, Imlazi. I can mention many places where internet infrastructure does not exist. So in our places, in places that we are actually calling our, where students are actually coming in to stay, the reality is that we are actually creating an environment where all of these students can come in, and they can come in and learn. And besides learning, it's a conducive environment where the internet is there and where everything else is there. Bearing in mind that the students themselves also needs to do practicals. Well, can they do practicals online? The reality is no. So student accommodation, it is still alive. It is happening. We do have it. In the 5 cities where we are, it is running well. Behind me sits a team of people, and these people, they are all geared up in making sure that your investments is secured. And these are the people that make sure that behind of everything else of the operations of students, it is working well. We are in 5 cities. We are in Cape Town, we're in Port, we're in Durban, Johannesburg, and Pretoria. We have gone national without you. My friends, whether you're a wealth manager or whether you're just an investor coming in, we want to go international, and we want to go international with you. So my intention is that by the end of this presentation, I would have given you enough information to make a decision so that you can start investing with us. Well, we all know that the Section 12J is coming to an end. I think Jeff has been stressing that out and is going to be stressed out to you throughout the day. But from an M5 ex-parte fund, yes, it's also coming to an end at the 30th of June. So we practically have around about 26 days to go here. So how can you get involved? With us, there is a minimum investment of 50,000. We do have dividends that we'll give out on an annual basis, and it's set currently on 7.5. And out of that, what we are also saying is this 7.5, it's actually geared up on the income of 2021. We are different because on the 7.5, what we are also promising you is that within the years as the rental increases, your returns are also going to be increasing. But don't forget that we are in the business of student accommodation. So there is an asset which is underlining. Within that asset, as it also grows, so does your money grows. Well, for some of you, you might not want to be with us for the long haul of 5 years, or should I say beyond 5 years. So how can you exit? Like many funds, we do have an exit option that is there for you. And after 5 years, that option is available for you. But we are going in on a long haul for us. We want to create legacy. We want to be as in many cities that we can be in South Africa. And above that, we are going international. We've identified some other towns and countries that we are going into. And within this legacy, you can join us. It isn't the mission that we think that any ordinary South African can go into with us. For some of you, you might be saying, hold on, I do not have the money right now, but I do not want availability of cash come between us. You can come through and you can come through to invest with us on a minimum of 500,000. What will happen is that we will give you finance from our side. So for a minimum of 500,000 all the way to a maximum of 2,500,000, we are looking for a 10% deposit, and simply put in values, that's a 250,000 deposit, and we can do the rest from a finance perspective, knowing that you have some money that is coming through. There'll be different intervals where we'll require that, and I'll be able to share with you in detail how it's going to be working. Well, from the 2021 to all the way to 2026, we are here to serve you. We are M5 Property Addicts, together with My Student House, and this is the business that makes sure that behind the scene of the entire operations of it, the investment growth is being seen because the asset needs to be managed. Over and above that, I also want to stress that post 2022, because the fund would have gone to work, would have seen some income coming through, instead of distributing our dividends on a yearly basis, you will be seeing those dividends coming in on a monthly basis. So for all of you wealth managers, together with people that are coming through to invest for the first time, I think this is something that is exciting. But over and above that, I also want to mention, for some of you who might have kids that are going into university, let's say in a year, in 2 years' time, there's another benefit that is there. And that benefit is your child, instead of you getting the dividends that you want to be getting, you can actually replace that dividend for your child to come in and stay into this particular property where we are. Now, as I close off, I've been an investor of the year in 2019. It is something that came through without us expecting it. Over and above that, you know, if I'm not doing property, I also write books, and that is a book that I've wrote, and it's a free gift from me to you today. And you can literally download that on our website. And thanks very much.
So thank you, TJ. That's I have a couple of questions in the Q&A chat.
Awesome.
And if you don't mind, the first question is, what is the minimum investment and what is the expected returns that an investor into your fund will expect?
Awesome. So at the minimum investment, we are sitting at 100. The minimum investment, we are sitting at 50,000 for those that are wanting to invest. That's number one. And the minimum returns that we're looking at is a 7.5 on an annual basis. Just looking at it from the current rentals of 2021. However, we're also promising that as the rental increases, so will those returns increase.
Okay, we have another question here from Marty Lewis, who's asking, is a financing option available to people over 65 years of age?
Yes, Marty, good to hear from you. And yes, it is. And the minimum that we are considering is on 500,000. And on your 500,000, there is a 10% deposit that you need to pay now. and then the rest of it will be in different intervals. The next payment will be next year in September, but it will be very glad to engage you directly on how the difference of that money is going to be paid off throughout the period.
Okay, thanks, TJ. And then just, you guys have been at it for quite a while. Can you just maybe give the viewers some idea of the, how much money you have invested in student accommodation to date, the size of your fund, and your returns that you've achieved to date?
Well, before the Section 12J came in, we've been in business already of student accommodation. And the first, I think we started off in Cape Town. That's where we started off the journey of student accommodation. And we went in all the way to Durban. We went into Johannesburg and Pretoria. And eventually the Section 12J came in. And with the funds that had come through in the Section 12J, we have managed to be in Potchefstroom at the moment. So we're in 5 cities. And with that, at the moment, if we look at how much we collectively is at stake in our fund, we're just talking about just above 10 million rand. And across the country, at minimum, we have run about 350 students that we currently have now. And we're still growing.
Okay, great. It's a wonderful story, TJ. So thank you. So for those of you who would like to get hold of you directly, will you give them your contact details?
Sure. They can reach us on our website, which is www.m5propertyaddicts.com, or they can reach us at our offices on 078 422 6647, or on our email address, which will be info@m5propertyaddicts.com.
Okay, and then the questions are coming in fast and furious here, TJ. So
yeah,
they say, do you own the properties that you're renting out, or do you rent them and then relet them?
Right. So we, as a fund, we go and buy the properties, and that's where you as investors would come in. So the monies that you're coming in to invest goes out and buy the properties. That's number one. Number two, we are always buying properties that are existing. So which means that going to market for us is quite easier because we then need to go and renovate the places, which is number two. And because we are providing student accommodation, you would appreciate that in today's world, furniture, Wi-Fi becomes a high priority. And that's the third thing, which then means that the actual property at that particular time, it's ready to be tenanted. And that's when the students come in. Your returns as investors will then come through from the actual rental that we will be getting in from the students.
Great. And then I have a question here from Daryl Moodley. He's asking, please, can you tell us what the fees are for the funds? So in other words, is there a capital raising fee? Is there a management fee? What's a performance fee? What is and how the exit mechanisms for investors into the fund?
Okay, so let's talk about the money coming in fees. So capital raising, we are looking at a 3% capital raising, and the fund holds that in. Anything plus 7% in terms of performance, the fund will be, there's a performance of 20% that will be taking in there. So if we're looking at it from that perspective, that's how it's going to work. And what was the second question, Jeff?
And then the exit mechanism for investors.
The exit mechanism, right. Exit basically means that past the 5 years, if you want to exit, number one, as a fund ourselves, we can be able to refinance these properties and we can get you out. That's number one. And then number two, those that have already invested with us who are in the fund, we will give them the opportunity to also buy out from those that are wanting to get out. But our idea, is a very much long-term as we are going into different markets outside South Africa as well.
Good. And the last and final question is, are the students NSFAS students or are they independent?
Awesome. We do a combination because, as we all know, government is government. They might change their minds today. So we do a combination. So we do, NSFAS is a public bursary. So we do a combination of public bursaries and private bursaries. And we also do private students that are also paying cash. And our ratio is around about 50% within the NSFAS. We take in an additional 30%, which would be private bursaries. And the difference there will take in 100% students that are on cash. As some of you might know, last year we had a bit of pressure that came through because just from NSFAS alone, if anyone you know who is operating within the NSFAS space, there was a severe delay in terms of paying out. So obviously that will put the business at risk. So with those learnings, we have incorporated that and implemented different strategies to make sure that the business doesn't go under.
Okay, TJ, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for making the trip all the way from Poch to join us. And best of luck with your fundraising. Anyone who would like to get hold of TJ and understand more about expatie and property addicts, investing in TJ's fund, please, would you contact him directly? He has given you his contact details, but should you have missed it, it is attached to the agenda, which is in your chat. So please download the chat where you can get the full agenda and you can get the contact details of all the fund managers. So thank you, TJ, for joining us.
Thank you, Jeff. Cheers.